welcome to the virtual tour today. It's a Snapshot Tour. Today I'll be giving a tour of two artworks from Yuri Pattison's solo show, The Engine. I'll be reading from my notes today. So dealing with themes of the rapid progression of technology and its impact on infrastructure and daily life, Yuri investigates through technological work. So the first artwork in the exhibition is called Blursday, it's just up here, and it is a digitally rendered analog clock, as you can see, with a broader view of time. So rather than hours and minutes and seconds, we're looking at a clock here that has the days of the week. And so it was made in 2020, and it was modelled on medical days of the week clocks. The work is presented in the form of digital signage, so it's a vernacular information design language which often utilises analog clocks in public space. So you might see these like Times Square or in different kind of large public areas and with screens and such. So referring to the past, these clocks kind of reference a kind of nostalgia, and Blursday represents a more fluid outlook on time as a reaction to lockdown at the start of the pandemic. So it kind of represents the breakdown of the rigidity of our kind of regular timetables. So our schedules kind of no longer really were useful to us because we had to stay inside as lockdown was implemented upon us during COVID-19. So this kind of work kind of represents like how, rather than asking what time is it, we'd kind of be asking each other, what day is it again? Like, is it Wednesday? Is it Thursday? It's Blursday. And I think, yes, so this definitely does represent that, and it's kind of like how the days are like melting into one another. And also you can see it's kind of getting blurry, so the actual image itself gets blurry. It's monitored by Raspberry Pi, which is a software system that kind of regulates the needle there running around the image. That's a JavaScript image as well. And so I was curious about kind of looking at this through the idea of time as like a large kind of system that regulates the human body, or like when I say that I mean like the whole human kind of race, I suppose, as a whole. And I was thinking about how our internal body clocks dictate our movements, and a foreign experience such as lockdown, where we would kind of ask what day is it, like kind of provoked me to kind of think about how time is situated at the foundation of technology, and modern time, such as Greenwich Mean Time, is an applied logic onto the movement of the sun, which gives access to the large human body to function effectively. So born out of the Industrial Revolution, Greenwich Mean Time came into effect with the advent of trains and timetables. So, for example, before this, different cities would have had different times. So London would have had a different time to Manchester or Liverpool. And so with the kind of, with trains, when they came into effect, industry kind of followed. And you can't have an effective industry if you're not agreeing upon the same time, basically. So in order for industry to function effectively, an unfluctuating time had to be agreed upon. So representing a concrete logic as means for production, lending itself to monitoring forms of energy and effective capitalization from goods. So this was a defining moment in history for how the world functions today and how our technology functions. So that's pretty much everything on Blursday that I had to say. That's it there. So on to the next artwork. So the next artwork is just up here. So I'm just pointing there. You can see the lights that are just on cables. They're just coming down from the roof there. And it is called It's Always Golden Hour Somewhere. So it was created in 2016. It's an ongoing artwork, so Yuri kind of uses this artwork for many other exhibitions as well, and it began in 2016, as I said. The work is composed of standardized 600 centimetre by 600 centimetre office LED panels. So these are kind of the panels. We're all quite familiar with these panels. If you've ever been to an office or even a retail super, anything like that, they're kind of very round. But yeah, so they emit a light at a certain colour temperature, and it's the same as what is known as golden hour. So this hour is just before dusk or just after dawn, and it's known within like cinematographers or photographers as the kind of magic hour as well, the hour at which the light is just perfect for kind of taking photographs or taking film or anything like that. So light is measured in Kelvin, and it has a powerful effect over the psychological and physiological states of our bodies. Kelvin, for the golden hour of Kelvin, is between 500 and 400 Kelvin, and it basically is the time at which the Earth, or I suppose the world, is its most photogenic. So the angle of the sun at this hour is between 10 degrees and 12 degrees to the Earth at this just before dusk and just after dawn, as I said. But the term hour is used quite figuratively because it's actually only about 30 to 40 minutes, depending on the location of the country in relation to the equator. So, for example, if you are at a country that's very north of the equator, you could have golden hour all day, you know. So, as the artwork says, it's golden hour somewhere, you know. It's always golden hour somewhere. So, yeah, so this kind of colour temperature is found in casinos as well as retail outlets and work environments, and studies have shown that different kinds of light affect our productivity depending on the Kelvin. So the spectrum from red light to blue light shows that warmer light around 2000 Kelvin has a relaxing effect over the body. And cooler light from around 7000 Kelvin has a more stimulating effect over our brains and is the perfect conditions for working. So hence why office environments employ these lights to get the highest production value from their employees. These are tactics of ergonomic design. So they create a specific environment to extract the desired function. So the next time you're in a shop, a retail environment, an office, or a casino or anything, have a look at the space to see how it's designed and see what kind of tactics are being implemented to kind of keep you there, to keep you as comfortable as possible, to stimulate your brain, etc., things like that. It's all interrelated, you know, with productivity, you know, and it's interrelated with economic as well systems. So yeah, so as I was going to say, the artist uses this piece to take control of the reality that he wishes for the works to exist within. But yeah, it's all very interrelated, and it's kind of, it comes down, in my opinion, it's, you know, nature and the technology and the human interaction with both of those things, and how our systems function in relation to one another. So the deeper you kind of get into this stuff, like the more kind of complexity that emerges, and you start to see how interrelated, because of the sun cycles, for example, we apply a logic of time, you know, into the hours and seconds of the day. But in order to gain the most productivity out of that for our, let's say, energy systems and economic systems, for those to function as well, we definitely specify things overly, and I think technology very much lends itself to this way of living and regulates it, you know. So if you look at ourselves as a system, as our bodies, we have an internal body clock, as you would say. So like during lockdown, we didn't have to put on an alarm clock, for example. So the circadian rhythms of the body were getting up and going to bed, or, you know, doing things as natural as possible. But if you're not exposed to natural light, your brain isn't as stimulated, then as it should be. So you're kind of creating your own rhythms and your own kind of time, let's say. So I think this show definitely encapsulates how technology, the body and nature are all interrelated, and it definitely provokes us to think and question what we are, our environments, and what kind of tools are employed, you know, to kind of to maintain our reactions to these environments. So I think that's everything today, but thanks for tuning in, all the people out there, and I hope you have a wonderful Tuesday and the rest of the day, and stay safe. And yeah, and the exhibition stays open until the end of July, so please do come along. You can book a slot on the Douglas Hyde Gallery website, and just come through, show your booking at the door, and you're free to come in and have a look.